Welcome to Futbol versus Futbol. On today's episode, former member of DC United and the Philadelphia Union, and now a current member of the LA Galaxy, 2016 MLS Comeback Player of the Year and 2017 Gold Cup winner, Chris Pontius.
It affected my everyday life. I just wasn't. I don't think I was a happy person, and on top of that, I was hurt a lot of it. So it tested me mentally. Certainly, the league has shifted over the past 2 years, and I think in a good way long term. There's much more incentives for teams to sign younger players through their academy system.
He's won the College Cup with UCSB, the US Open Cup with DC, and the Gold Cup last year with the United States, and now he's back in his native SoCal looking to add MLS Cup to his name. Without further ado, here's our conversation with Chris Pontius. So welcome to Futbol versus Futbol, another special interview here with Chris Pontius, former Gaucho, and he's traversed the trails of MLS, DC, Philadelphia, now with the LA Galaxy. Chris, good to have you on. You opened the season with the win versus Portland yesterday. You made your Galaxy debut. Congrats, man. How you doing today?
Doing good. It's always a little bit nicer to start off the season with a win. And it took, I was thinking back to last year with Philly. We had a tough go in the beginning. We started off 0-4-4, so it took until the ninth game to get the win last year, and it's a little bit nicer starting it off, one game, one win, and got my feet wet with some playing time too as well.
And I'm just going to start chronologically here from the time you were in college at UCSB. So we know about Tim Vom Steeg's affinity for playing players all over the field. Some people argue out of position, for better or for worse, right? So I've heard from some Gaucho alums, of course, that was way before my time. You started out as a defender, including in the 2006 College Cup winning season, and then you made your way up the pitch. So did you ever talk to Coach Vom Steeg and you were just telling him, hey, I'm a better player up front, or was that something that was just kind of you figure out over time?
No, because all I wanted to do was play when I was younger. I didn't care about the position. I would figure out a way to make it successful for me. I just wanted to be on the field. So I think it was I played outside mid, maybe the first couple games my freshman year, and then I forget who went down with an injury, but we needed a right back. And we weren't, as the outside backs in Vom Steeg's formation, we weren't defending a whole lot. We were more attacking. So I figured I could do it, and he asked me to do it, stepped in, and I was in a lot of trouble when some attacking players faced me up 1v1 because I wasn't the best defender. But going forward, I figured it out pretty easily. So, no, I enjoyed it. I actually, because you see the ball a lot as a right back, so I touched it a lot more as a right back, even more so than midfield sometimes. It was a little bit further away from goal, but it was what I needed to do to get on the field and to start. So, yep.
And what attracted you more to UCSB? I know you joined the year after the team lost in penalties in the 2004 College Cup, so you came here in 2005, and I know you stayed local, so what was the decision process behind going to Santa Barbara for you?
I was recruited a bit later than everyone else. I wasn't a highly talented kid. I got recruited through my high school. My high school coach made me a highlight video, and they had already had a connection with UC Santa Barbara. They had sent players Matt Kubota and Jeff Murphy to the school, so we had a little bit of a connection there, and Vom Steeg came down and watched me after seeing the highlight video and decided that I was worth the shot in terms of giving me a roster spot. So it was either there or Tulsa, of all places.
Tulsa.
And I had gone to, Tulsa's a bit far, but at the time they were pretty good. And I had gone to smaller schools my whole life, so there was a certain appeal to Tulsa being, I think that they only had 4,500 kids. So there was a certain comfort level there. But my dad was still recovering from leukemia at the time, and I wanted to be close to family. So that made the decision pretty easy to go to UCSB.
Mm-hmm. And I don't want to spend too much time on UCSB, of course, since that was a fairly long time ago. But let's go back to your UCSB soccer bio. I want to find out if this is still true. So it's listed saying that you enjoy watching the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air and the movie Beverly Hills Ninja. Has that changed since then?
No, not at all. I love the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, and I still think the Beverly Hills Ninja, for me, is the top 10 comedy of all time. I know people will argue with me on that, but I find myself, cackling at that movie. Yeah, that's still very true.
And the last part of this, too, it didn't age very well, but your favorite video game is FIFA 05. I can't imagine that's still true.
You're showing my age now. So no, I actually don't. I don't play video games anymore. I don't think my fiance would let me.
Not even the N64. I saw an article when you were in Washington.
No, I do have an N64. But we haven't set it up yet. That'll be for when I buy a house and have a man cave. I think we can set it up then. So I'm just keeping it in the meantime.
What else is going to be in your man cave, man? A couple TVs, a couple like pool tables, air hockey.
I'm thinking shuffleboard table, and there's no need for two TVs. One TV. I mean, maybe you need two TVs around World Cup time, but there's only one need for one TV. So it'll be pretty simplistic. Just a comfortable couch where men and women can hang out. I call it a man cave, but it's really a place for just people to hang out.
There you go. I want to move on to DC United. Of course, you're a club legend there. First couple of years, you were working your way into the squad. What was that transition from college to MLS like?
Just how the transition was from high school to college. The game was that much quicker. The players that you were playing against are that much more skillful. They're bigger, faster, stronger. And yeah, it was definitely, there was a learning process there. Thankfully, my first year in DC, I had a lot of veterans to learn from. And so I used them to kind of piggyback off them and just learn from them day in and day out. So that was that. And then I started growing into the second year was a bit rough. We didn't have a very good team, but the third year we had a young group of core players that were pretty good, and it was just a fun group to be around. I would say we made some young mistakes on the field, certainly, and gave up a lot of goals we shouldn't have, but I think we were generally pretty exciting to watch, and that's when I started to grow into myself as a player. I was a bit more confident in taking people on and within my role as within my team role. So, yeah, from there, 2011, 2012, so that's my third and fourth year in the league, I really felt comfortable, and then thought I showed and played some of the best soccer of my career then. After that, had a bit of the injury bug bite me and kind of slow my progress and derail things for a little bit. But like to think, I've been as healthy as I've ever been these past few years in my career in Philly. So I'd like to think that's in the past now.
I'm glad, man. I'm glad. And I want to zone in on 2012, 2013. So you went to the All-Star game that year. You were the All-Star MVP. How much did that mean to you? Beating Chelsea 3-2. You had Dan Kennedy, Old Gaucho in net. And I think it's unique, the All-Star game, in that it's a supposed friendly between MLS and a top European team. But I get the feeling that there's so much more to prove. So what's the mentality in the locker room leading up to the game? And tell me about that experience.
Well, it's generally a pretty lighthearted thing. It's supposed to be a fun and a celebration around, the year that you're having. So it certainly was fun, being around, sharing a locker room with Beckham, Henry, and Donovan, players of their caliber. But then once you get on the field, the competitive nature kicks in. So it was everything leading up to it was very fun, lighthearted. But I thought in the game, I thought it was a pretty entertaining game to watch for fans. We went up 1-0, and I think they fought back to 2-1. And then I got my goal to make it 2-2 and was involved in the last goal, Eddie Johnson's goal, to make it 3-2. So it was a pretty dramatic game. And, I mean, anytime you're beating a side like Chelsea, it's pretty special, even though people will say they were in preseason. That doesn't matter all too much. They had quality all over the field. So it was it was a really fun night. I didn't expect to win MVP or anything of that sort, but it just kind of happened that way, and it's something I'll remember for the rest of my life, certainly.
After that 2012 season, did you have any offers from Europe or any desire to move?
Desire to move. So I had signed a contract with DC middle of the 2012 season, long-term deal, with the understanding that if the right offer came, that I wanted to go to Europe, and my coach Ben Olsen, who I had a great relationship with, was very understanding of that, and he played in Europe as a player before getting injured, so he understood the desirability to go over there, and I think he was willing to tell me at the right price. So I think there were some teams that were interested. There was never a formal offer, not to my knowledge, but once again the injuries came shortly after there, and so whatever interest was there dried away pretty quickly, just because I wasn't getting on the field, and even when I was getting on the field the next year, it was at 80%, 75% of my normal self. So yeah, I knew there would have been, I would have loved. Let me put it this way: I would have loved to have gone over there. It didn't happen. Do I have any regrets? No. Just didn't happen in my career, and I'm okay with that. It's hopefully some other kids that get into my situation will not get bitten by the injury bug, and they can go on to have long, successful careers in Europe. And but it just wasn't for me.
And for DC United and for yourself, of course, you guys had a lot of ups and downs in those years. Playoffs 2012, 3 wins 2013, turned it around, entered first place in the East in 2014. But going back to that middle year, I know it wasn't necessarily your best year on the field because you were battling the injury bug, but you got to win the U.S. Open Cup with Luis Silva, another former Gaucho there too in 2013. So was that a big moment for you after having such a rough season outside of the Open Cup?
Yeah, one of the highs of my career. You don't get to raise silverware often, and that and the Gold Cup are the only things that I've been able to win in my career, and I've played for this is my 10th season. Some people play longer and never win anything. So it was especially special just because of the struggles that we were having within league, and for us to stay together as a group and figure out a way to win it. It was it was the one thing that we managed to do right that year. Some credit to our guys and to Ben for keeping us together. But within league play, it was a real struggle because this is our livelihood, and we want to win, and it affected my everyday life. I just wasn't. I don't think I was a happy person, and on top of that, I was hurt a lot of it. So it tested me mentally.
Who'd you turn to in that time? Were there family, friends, maybe other sports figures in DC, your teammates? Who'd you go to?
Family, friends, and you trying to get within the training staff, whoever's handling the treatment, you rely on them a lot because there are dark days where you're not feeling the best. You're not responding to treatment well. Exercises aren't feeling like they should, and so you rely on them to kind of build you up during those days and help you out, help you get through them. So I always say it's so crucial to have, a training staff that has a positive mindset, because when a player is injured, you're going to get some angry guys in there, not happy, I don't want to say not motivated, but they're just in a tough position. So for the training staff to be in a good mood and understanding of their emotions is hugely important.
Yeah, I think that's something that's come up so much more often recently in talking about mental health of players and just the mentality that some guys attack sports with, So I think that's been definitely an overlooked thing for a lot of times, especially us as fans. I think we have a responsibility to not treat you guys like crap on Twitter or whatever, and I think a lot of people care about like their fantasy leagues first before they care about the player on the field. So, I'm glad that you depend on the training staff and the family and the friends, but I think there's a lot more that the fans can do as well. I don't know if you dealt with any of that in DC or if there was.
Certainly, it comes with the territory. Unfortunately, we have a bunch of keyboard warriors behind the scenes now with social media. So everyone is entitled to their own opinion. So I wish that fans would think and put themselves in our situations before they started getting on these social media and expressing their views, certainly. But look, our world's not perfect, and it's only going to become easier for them to express their views as time goes on. And yeah, the way things are now. So
and
deal with it. You learn to have thick skin.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a big one. I know for a lot of athletes, just got to have it just naturally if you're going to make it at the highest level, right? So you get traded to Philadelphia the next year, and then I know it's been kind of moving up from college to MLS or high school to college, then college to MLS. But this one's kind of a lateral move. You're going from one MLS team to another. What changes there? You've at that point only been in Orange County, Santa Barbara, and DC, right? So this is the fourth place you've gone to. What's Philadelphia like at the beginning?
So what came down to it is that I just knew it was time for me to move on. I felt like I wasn't getting any better as a player in DC. I kind of wanted to put the injury. Anytime I walked into the stadium at DC, I always thought of my injuries, and I just wanted to put that back behind me and get past it. And the only way I thought I could do that, and it actually ended up being a very reasonable way, is just I needed to move teams. I needed something different. Not that it was a different challenge. I guess it could be a different challenge. I just wanted different scenery. I wanted a different staff. So I got that in the move to Philly, and ended up being great for me. Kind of revived my career a little bit and put up some big numbers the next year. And I just think it was just getting myself out of that comfort zone. I was in a comfort zone in D.C. where my daily life was pretty similar every day. I knew the city pretty well. So, I was just able to get outside my comfort zone and challenge myself a bit again, which was nice. So, it was a great move for me personally.
With the trade, sometimes players don't really get to have input on where they go. Were you able to influence or give your team, some options as to where you'd like to be traded, or was that just their decision?
No, I had spoken once again. I had a great relationship with Ben, and we had spoken, and he asked me to give him 4 teams that I would like to go to. They were trying to. Ben wanted to re-sign me to less money, and I told him it wasn't about money at that point, and I just needed something new. I needed some fresh scenery, so Ben understood that, and he asked me, what kind of 4 teams would I want to go to, and I gave him 4 teams, and Philly was one of the 4 teams, and that ended up working out well. They offered Philly was probably one of my top teams that I wanted to go to, and they ended up offering DC the most in terms of a trade. So, it was great. Very, very happy with how everything worked out.
And, of course, you got MLS Comeback Player of the Year 2016, Gold Cup with the U.S. Those 2 years in Philly were special for your career then. And slipping on the U.S. jersey, I know you've last time I interviewed you at Westmont, I know another reporter there asked you the same question. What was it like? But, that whole Gold Cup campaign, when they were sending some players back to their MLS clubs, like I know Dom Dwyer went back, were you kind of worried you might be in the mix, or were you hoping you would stick around for the whole time? What was that sentiment like there?
Obviously, hoping to stick around for the whole time.
Yeah.
I knew that I was a late addition to the squad, but Bruce had seen me enough in January camp, so I felt confident just because I'm an older veteran guy, so I can provide that stability that Bruce wanted on the field. But yeah, of course, it's in the back of your mind. I thought I made a good enough impression on him that didn't deserve to go home, and so was lucky enough to stay around and hang around for the rest of the tournament, which was pretty special. Even though I didn't play the last two games, I got into the quarterfinal, but just to see the atmosphere at both the games and obviously have the chance to win a trophy was in doing so, you're wearing the U.S. jersey and representing our country. Can't think of a higher honor, to be honest.
And I remember watching the USA-Nicaragua game. Actually, I'm half Nicaraguan, the only reason I had the game on. And, of course, support the national team. But you almost scored a bicycle kick goal in that game, too. I remember a pretty close attempt there, and that would have been a highlight reel goal in itself. So,
yeah, that was very uncharacteristic of me.
Yeah.
I don't think I've thrown a bicycle. I don't know the last time I've thrown a bicycle kick, but ball popped up, and I thought, why not? So, attempted it.
Yeah, and then you're used to cutting in from the left side, right, and scoring a lot of goals, curling them in with your right. Do you consider yourself the reverse Arjen Robben in that sense?
I mean, wow, what a player to compare yourself to. And I don't think we can compare myself. I'm a little bit different than Arjen. He's a bit faster than me, and so I rely on kind of getting into some pockets underneath and doing my damage there. In college, I was very much more a winger than I think at the pro level.
Right.
Like I said, at the pro level, guys are a little bit faster, a little bit stronger. So I had to adjust my game a little bit, just because I couldn't blow by people like I did at the college level in terms of that. So yeah, it was a learning process for me and an adjustment, but. Yeah, a little bit different player than Arjen, but well, he certainly is a fun player to watch.
Yeah, that's an insight from Gaucho superfan, actually, who watched you during your college days. I don't know, he's been following the team for a long time. So, yeah, that might have been back in your college days for sure. You played with Jordan Morris in the Gold Cup, too. What was your relationship with him like? And, of course, now he's out for the year with injury, and do you have any words of encouragement for him as he begins his rehab back onto the field?
I mean, Jordan's just a great guy. He's a real nice guy, hardworking on the field. So, I feel for him. Especially, you go through all of off season to get ready for the year, and I know he was in January camp, and then the first game and assignment of the MLS season. It's terrible. You don't wish injury on anybody, and no, the only words of encouragement would be that there's always light at the end of the tunnel, and that it's more about baby steps than you tend to want things to happen so fast when you're injured, and you want to make such big strides, and it's more about the baby steps and learning to embrace those and achieve small daily goals. So he's a good guy, and I can't wait to see him back on the field.
Now you're with the Galaxy. You came back to Southern California. It makes sense. You're a Belinda native, right? Servite grad, UCSB alum. Did you have offers anywhere else, though?
Yeah.
I don't know how much you can talk about that.
No, I can talk about it a bit. I fell into the free agency group, and thinking the free agency thing would go a lot. I don't want to say easier than it did, but
maybe smoother.
Certainly, the league has shifted over the past 2 years, and I think in a good way long term.
Mm-hmm.
There's much more incentives for teams to sign younger players through their academy system than older MLS, kind of proven players.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a bit more difficult for me and a few of the other free agency guys to move. even with some of us having pretty good resumes and pedigrees. So, like I said, it's the shift of the league to sign, and I'm okay with it because we need this next generation to step up in big ways for us in terms of the U.S. national team and progress in the game as well. So I'm okay with it, but it was a little bit more difficult. I made it clear to my agent that LA was kind of the only city I really was interested in being in, first and foremost. So I wanted to hear out both LA teams and then kind of go from there. So we told other teams that in a polite way, hey, we're just not interested. Thank you for the considerations, and so I had to be more patient than I expected during the free agency thing. I thought, December 12th, I think, was the day that we could initially sign. I thought it would be a done deal by then, but it proved much more difficult than that. And but ended up, Galaxy was and is a great fit for me, and so couldn't be happier to be here.
In your entire career, you've been wearing 13, but I noticed now you're wearing 19. So I did a little research, don't worry, and I know the number's been worn by Kobe Jones before. It hasn't been worn since. Is that a conversation that you had with Kobe? Do you want your number back?
No, Jermaine wore it last year.
Oh, did he? Oh, well, then I didn't do my research enough, man. You caught me.
Yeah, so Jermaine wore it last year. 19 was actually the first number I had in my freshman year of college, too. So, something fresh. Once again, it's a fresh start for me here in LA, and let's put the 13 behind me and wear a different number. So, yeah, it was nice. I don't mind. I don't think a number really defines a person all too much. So.
Yeah, don't worry. I'm definitely doing better in my classes on my research than I did with looking up your freshman year number, man. But yeah, you came back to Harder Stadium, scored in your return against Fresno FC, and I saw your celebration there. It was looked, at least from the sideline, like it was a good moment for you. So tell me about that.
Yeah, it was fun to be there again. It's been I really had some good times on that field. And I have nothing but good things to say about the program. So to go back there and play in a meaningful preseason game for us was special. And once I found out we were going up to Santa Barbara, I was particularly excited about it. So it was just great to see everyone again. And I'll be back. I'm going to come up for the College Cup just to it'll be a great time for the city of Santa Barbara again and for the program. So hopefully they're in it or make a run into the playoffs this year, and we can have them in the College Cup again. But I like to be around and watch them. So
yeah, I think they got a good chance. I know the MLS Cup final is also December 8th. The College Cup is 7th and 9th. So that's if you're not in the MLS Cup final, right?
Of course. Well, planning on the MLS Cup final being in LA, and then I can make it up on Sunday.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, catch the College Cup final too. That'd be awesome. A couple more questions for you. I wanted to talk about VAR. It's something that we've talked about on the show, Thomas and I, and we've got split opinions on it. But came in last year. It's had its controversial moments, to say the least, in MLS and in other leagues. As a player, what do you think of VAR? How does it affect your play? What needs to improve? Give me your take.
I like when VAR makes the right calls from my team.
Exactly.
Yeah. There are pros and cons to it.
Of course.
Pros is that you're generally speaking, going to get the right call. There has been times when they've even gone and reviewed it and still somehow came up with the wrong call. But those are some oddballs. But you're generally going to get the right call. The con for me is it takes away from the game the playing time to feel the tempo. And so we just need to figure out a way for it to be a little bit faster in terms of what's being relayed down to the refs on the field from the guys watching it up in the booth. and figure out a way to get the calls just made a bit faster. So there isn't that pause and that loss of tempo of the game. But I am 100% for getting the calls right. So that's where I stand with it. I am for VAR as long as we can speed up the process of it.
Yeah, I really don't see why they don't do like the NFL and have some guys in jumpsuits or something run out with a tablet onto the field, hand it to the ref, and there should be a direct line of communication. As a fan, I don't know why it takes so long, but I'm with you. I'm in favor. I know, again, Thomas has some different opinions on it, but yeah, thanks for that. And just take us through a week before a game, training. How do you take care of yourself? What do you do to unwind as well?
So generally speaking, I know our game was on a Sunday last night, but you'll have a game on a Saturday night. Sunday you're in for a regen, and Mondays are off. So Mondays, I like to golf in my off time. So and there's a few of the guys on this team. You'll find a few guys on each team that like to golf as a hobby, and so we'll do that on our off days, and then Tuesday back in for training with a lower body lift. Wednesday usually one of your hardest trainings of the week. Thursday in for training with an upper body lift, and then Friday's generally pretty light the day before game. And within these days you have some video mixed in. You're talking about tactics on the field, and away from soccer. The biggest thing for me right now, being back in LA, is seeing family and friends. So it's been pretty nice to be able to do that on a weekly basis. And my fiance, so spending time with just the people I love. So nothing too exciting. Not going to any movie premieres or anything in Hollywood. But
yeah, that's why your favorite comedy is still that one movie.
Yeah. So just reconnecting with old friends, which has been great.
Who's the best golfer on the team? You mentioned playing golf. Who's the best?
Probably Dave Romney.
Really?
I've only golfed with this group once in LA since we were in preseason for a while, so we were only able to get out one time. But Romney, we've got a good group of guys that are all pretty similar in talent level on the golf course. Romney, Steres, Carrasco, Bingham, and I. They're all pretty close, and we're all shooting 85 to 90. I think Romney can shoot closer to 80 more times than not.
Is this your best, or was your peak back in Philly and DC in terms of your golf score?
In Philly, I played a lot. So I played with Keegan Rosenberry a lot, and I was shooting anywhere from 79 to 90 probably. So that was those are the peak days. I'm not there yet. I'd have to get on the range for a bit, but I do enjoy getting out on the golf course, and it just takes you away from the soccer field. And you can be competitive in a different sport than you are every day. So I think it's great.
Do you have a go-to music playlist for, say pregame or training or whatever?
No, Spotify. Country Gold. I listen to country music.
Country Gold. Okay.
There you go.
Yeah.
I feel like we're in the minority with country music. Being in college, I get a lot of flack for listening to country music. I'm up from Sacramento, up in the valley, so I was born and raised with country music, but people don't necessarily like it too much down here.
No, they listen, and I enjoy listening to Iration and Revolution, which I don't know if the kids still do at Santa Barbara, but those were the big bands that were being played, around UCSB. So
yeah, I know a couple people.
I like all types of music, but country's my go-to.
All right, last couple of questions. I know I said that a little while ago, but so you've played under Vom Stieg, Analfa Olsen, Jim Curtin, Bruce Arena, Siggy Schmid. Dominic Kinnear's now an assistant with the Galaxy. I'm not going to ask you to say which one's the best, obviously. Can't do that. But what traits from each coach do you think helped make the player you are today, contribute to Chris Pontius today?
Biggest thing for a manager is their man management. Because every season is a roller coaster ride. There's ups and downs. And, whether it's wins or losses or a player's form. So how can you get the best out of a player when he's not in form? And how can you keep him there when he is in form? So learning what buttons to push, when they need rest, and, generally just talking with them, engaging where they are. I think that is the biggest thing a manager can do. And some do it well and some don't. And, I think when people talk about, Alex Ferguson, that was one of their best compliments of him. It was his man management ability, whether you were in the 18 or a reserve player, the way he handled players was extraordinary.
You just brought that up right on the spot, and you talk about Sir Alex Ferguson as being, one of those guys. Is that something that you'd like to go down a coaching path after you retire?
TBD. To be determined. I think I certainly have some of the skills to do it, and the knowledge, but I'd also like to pursue some other opportunities within the soccer world after more of a front office role or agency role. I think those excite me a lot more than coaching on the field right now where I am in life.
No broadcasting? We won't see you on ESPN or Fox Sports anytime soon?
That I wouldn't say no to that either. I don't think I'm the best in front of camera. I know there are certain personalities. I know Stu Holden pretty well, and I look at him, and he's just got the personality. You knew from early on in his career that he would be great on camera. I know another guy that just retired that I played with quite a bit was Charlie Davies, and I know he'll be great on camera. So there are certain guys that you just know, and I'm one of those in-betweeners. So we'll see. We'll see. I might give it a little bit of a test run, but I'm not ready to retire yet.
Yeah, of course. If you ever need some reps, I do play-by-play for the Gauchos on radio. So if you're here for the College Cup and they happen to be in the semifinals or the final, then feel free to come up to the press box and knock and say, "Hey, Arthur, I'm joining the call." So that's open to you.
That sounds good to me.
There you go. All right, last question. Give us a spot to eat in IV after this. What's your favorite?
Say, spot to eat in IV?
Yeah.
Is El Sitio still there?
El Sitio moved. They're not there anymore. And
Where did they?
Well, they've got like different spots in Santa Barbara and Goleta. So I mean, we technically could go there. They're by the McDonald's on Fairview.
Okay. So I enjoyed them for Mexican food. I thought that was the most authentic. Other than that, I'm a Woodstocks guy. I love the pizza from Woodstocks. So I assume they're still there, surely, right?
Oh, of course. Yeah, it's a classic.
Okay.
Yeah, they added chocolate chip Cinnabread now. So next time you're here, make sure to try that as well.
Have to try that out. We watched a few Mexico-U.S. games there. As we brought some of the guys from the team there. So I remember being there quite a bit.
Well, there you go. Hey, thank you, Chris Pontius. It's been fantastic. I've always wanted to interview you as a former Gaucho, and you're giving back to us right now, so I really appreciate that a lot.
Yes,
thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys.
Thanks for tuning in. It's actually kind of funny how life works. When we were first starting this podcast, I floated the idea of interviewing players to Thomas, but we agreed that all of that would come later, and it was more important to establish our own chemistry between each other for at least the first few episodes. Besides, who would come onto a podcast with just a few episodes on it, a handful of listeners, if that, and chat with both of us? Arthur? Thomas? Who? It was always a goal we set. Hey, let's reach out to a bunch of former Gauchos and see what happens. But Chris Pontius was always a name we really wanted to go for. 6 months, several guests later, we finally brought on Pontius, which all started when the Galaxy came to play a preseason friendly in Santa Barbara, and, well, you just heard the rest. If you liked what you heard and you want more in the coming weeks and months, make sure to subscribe to us on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, wherever you get your podcasts, and follow us on Twitter at FVFPod. Every share helps. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time you join us.